Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 15 preview. So we'll start off with a quick update of Cal and I's head-to-head game. So we both had not great weeks. I had a little bit better of one though. I dropped 8 total points, and Callan dropped 5 points total.
Bad betting week all around.
Yeah. Putting me at a total of 118 on the season, and Callan at a total of 109. So I very much needed that, because Callan was coming up on me quick. So I needed
6, I believe, last week.
even 3 points right there gives me a lot. So now we will jump straight into our picks for this week. First up, we have the Thursday night game with the Chiefs heading to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. I have the Chiefs in this one, and Callan has the Chargers. Now, after watching the Chiefs last week absolutely dominate the Raiders, that is pretty much the sole reason I picked them in this one. This was a toss-up for me. These are two really good teams. It's in Los Angeles. I just talked about last episode how much I've been liking Justin Herbert this year. But I don't know. That division is kind of like the NFC West, where it's so hard to pick those divisional games because all the teams are so matched. Yeah.
They beat each other up.
So I got the Chiefs in this one, but I could really see it falling either way.
And I took the Chargers being at home, and they're coming off, I think, almost a better win against the Giants. I mean, the Chiefs stomped out the Raiders, but that's because they stomped on their logo. If they don't do that pregame,
it's a stomp for a stomp.
Yeah. I don't know. The Chargers had it. I just think that the Chargers being at home, they got a chance to take sole possession of AFC West. You know, the Chiefs have been the kings of the West for a few years now. I just think the Chargers will be really hyped up to, get this win against Kansas City and take control of the AFC West. Yeah. And control their own destiny for possibly the number 1 seed.
I talk about how much I like that Giants defense, and the Chargers embarrassed them. Looked so good against them. So yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch. Next up, we have the Patriots heading to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, and Cal and I both have the Colts in this one. I think Colts are coming off the bye this week. They got Jonathan Taylor going up against a good defense. I think it's going to be kind of like when they face the Bucs, where they get away from the run a little bit, because I think I can see the Pats totally just focusing on that run game. But again, kind of like I thought against the Bucs, even though they didn't pick up the win in that game, I think that every once in a while Carson Wentz can pick up a win when they're relying on the pass, when they don't just have the run. And again, this is another big toss-up for me. Both these first 2 games were hard to pick because it's 4 really good teams going against each other. But I don't know. I just like the Colts in this one. They got the home field advantage.
I like the home field advantage with him coming off the bye, giving Taylor a little bit of rest. Now he's going to come out a little bit more fresh. The Patriots are the number 1 seed, and they're actually the underdogs in this game. The Colts are favored by 2 in this game.
Which is ironic because the Colts aren't even in the top 7 seed.
Yeah, so it's really a bizarre situation on that front. So I don't know if maybe the bettors see something that we're missing, but I'm buying into that, and I that's why I picked the Colts. And it being in Indy is a big thing. Plus, I mean, Mac Jones he's got to break at some point, right? I mean, he's got to have a bad game, a rookie game at some point, and I think this could be the one. Frank Reich, the Colts head coach, was the Eagles offensive coordinator when they scored whatever it was, 50 whatever points in the Super Bowl against Brady and the Patriots. So I think that Frank Reich kind of knows how to beat that Patriots defense.
How to beat Belichick.
So
that's a good trait to have.
That's another reason I went with the Colts. Is I think they'll be able to score points on the Pats.
I see this. I think we're going to see this game again this season in the playoffs.
Definitely. That's
good
chance.
I could easily see the Colts sneaking up into that 6 or 5 seed, and then the Pats being that 2 or 3 seed. So I think we will definitely, be the 3 or 4 at that point then. But I think we could definitely see that matchup. Next up, we got the Titans heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And Callan has the Titans in this one, but in what I would say is a little bit of a surprise, I picked the Steelers in this one. I've been ragging on the Steelers all year, but I've been ragging on the Titans since Derrick Henry got hurt too, so this is kind of a toss-up. This is another third toss-up game, but in the other way, where I don't really like either of these teams overly. But I got to watch the Steelers a lot more, and they probably should have beat the Vikings, to be dead honest. There's a bunch of factors that went down. If they could have played a little better in the first half, maybe if Chase Claypool didn't do the whole celebration thing to mess with the clock. Lots of factors there. But I don't know, another toss-up here, and I just got a feeling on the Steelers. I see them picking up the win when the Titans can't lean on Derrick Henry the whole game.
Well, boy, that Steelers defense still looks bad. They just allowed 205 to Dalvin Cook.
Oh, if Derrick Henry was in the game after that, I'd pick Titans as my lock.
Titans are still a running team. I think that they want to be a run-first team. I think that they could still have a ton of rushing yards, just more by committee.
Yeah.
Where it could be, a couple, 2-3 guys with 50, 75 yards. Plus, you're able to, even though Cousins threw a couple picks, they were able to throw on Pittsburgh pretty easily. And so I could also see where, they're able to pass on them too.
Yeah. Yeah, Cousins had, in my opinion, probably the worst game of the season that he's had against Pittsburgh, and he still almost had 300 yards and a touchdown or two. So
Tannehill's able to just put it together and look like a really competent quarterback. So I think this could be a chance where he maybe takes over and wins this game.
I think if the Steelers win, it's going to be on the back of T.J. Watt and that defense. They really are going to need them to step up. So next up, we have an NFC East divisional matchup with the football team heading to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, and Cal and I both have the Eagles in this one. Now, I think the Eagles pick up this win, whether it's Hurts or Minshew. I think they've kind of already said it's going to be Hurts, I believe, but who knows? We could see that change more closer to the game. But they got the home field advantage here. I hate to sound like a broken record, but I mean, again, this game was a toss-up. We're starting with close games left and right here. I can see this being a really close game, the football team keeping it close the whole time. Like I just said, the Eagles got the home field advantage. I think they have a pretty high-powered offense, even though they're all really young, and a defense that can create turnovers, and that's a great recipe for a divisional win.
I don't think this one's as much of a toss-up as the others, because Heineke and McLaurin are both hurt, might not play, which is
that'd be huge, yeah.
That's two big players for Washington. And even if they do play, they're going to be playing hurt. Plus, if the Eagles start Minshew, I mean, that just seems like an automatic W.
That's a lot.
You got the Mississippi Mudflap, the bomber jacket man, him and his
hype dad.
Yeah, his wingman of a father. I mean,
Minshew, I cannot wait.
How do you not start Gardner Minshew?
I cannot wait to see what happens with Minshew this offseason, because he's going to have teams barking.
I don't know how you don't. This guy is a really good quarterback, I feel like.
He is.
And he just gets on I want to say, he was on a bad team in Jacksonville, because look, they're still struggling, even with super talented Trevor Lawrence. And now he's kind of in a cloudy situation with Philadelphia,
where he
looked really good last time they played.
He's not necessarily a bad offense. He's just in competition with a good quarterback.
And it's someone that they favored, that the Eagles favor in Jalen Hurts. Even though, I don't know, Minshew looked like the more complete quarterback. Obviously they didn't play last week, but 2 weeks ago.
Oh, definitely.
And, I mean, Hurts kind of looks more like that athletic, run around type.
He's easily looked like the better quarterback.
Right, yeah.
He just hasn't looked like the better athlete.
Right, and I don't know, if Hurts struggles to start, I wouldn't be surprised if they put in Minshew.
I could see that easily. Hell, they should almost, with Hurts coming off that injury, they should let him heal up a little more and almost start Minshew and just put some packages in with Hurts.
Yeah,
and do that kind of style.
So
you're not just
easing back onto the field.
You're not just constantly pounding that injury, and then there's much less of a chance of re-aggravating it. But we'll have to see what the Eagles do with that situation.
If Minshew starts, it's a guaranteed win.
Yeah,
that's most of what I'm going with on my pick, because I'm leaning towards him starting.
Next up, we have another NFC East matchup with the Cowboys heading to New York to take on the Giants. And again, Cal and I agree, we both got the Giants in this one.
We do?
Or sorry, Cowboys. We both.
I was going to say, I didn't think I did. Because,
we both have the Cowboys in this one.
Because it looks like the Giants really want to start Mike Glennon instead of giving Jake Fromm a shot. Which, I don't know if Jake Fromm will do any better, but Glennon has shown that he's just a backup quarterback, game manager. I don't know. I don't think he's won a game in a while.
No, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is still, they're not sure if he's going to play, so it'd beat Glennon again more than likely, unless they wanted to throw Fromm out there. But the way that Joe Judge is coaching the team, I think that this might be a game where McCarthy might be the better coach. That don't happen very often.
That's a rarity.
Yeah.
No, give my boy Jake from Georgia a freaking chance. Put him out
I know.
There. I mean,
they
your offense isn't doing shit. Just see if it could light a spark.
You go pull him off the Bills practice squad. Give him a shot. He was pretty efficient in college.
Literally, the only way I see the Giants winning this game is if they hold that Cowboys offense to under 10 points.
The way I see it is if the Cowboys lose. In the sense,
if the Cowboys
lose the game and beat themselves, kind of thing.
I think. It's sad to say, but that offense in New York is just so bad that pretty much once a team scores over 14, 17 points, it's just a loss. Because the offense isn't going to match that. The offense isn't going to score over...
Well, they got 21 last week, but...
Did they? But wasn't it garbage time a lot of it?
Yeah, 10 or 14 was garbage time,
That Giants offense pretty much maxes out at 20-21 and just can't score over that. So as soon as you let the other team pass that, no matter how good the Giants' defense is,
and when you got Saquon Barkley, that they're obviously going to be a run-first team, but they just teams can load the box and just focus on Saquon because they aren't getting the ball. To their receivers at all.
I haven't watched a ton of the Giants this year, but I watched a little bit of them last week, and Saquon's pretty much their leading receiver. Too.
Yeah, he's the leading receiver.
So the Giants are just in a cluster of a situation right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's their leading rusher, their leading receiver, and they're not even that high of numbers.
They might as well just run Wildcat all game at this point.
I think that Andrew Thomas still has more receiving touchdowns than Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay. So
they got the weapons on that offense. They
that's what I mean. They went out and got these weapons, and so it's obviously the quarterback. Daniel Jones, even though inconsistent, was playing better as the season went on, I thought. And then he got that neck injury, and it's really set him back now. Obviously, he hasn't gotten to hit the field, so
I don't think the
way that Glennon's played is set the team back.
I don't see the Giants taking quarterback with their first-round pick this year by any means, but I see them taking a reasonably early quarterback, second, third.
Really? I think they go with Daniel Jones one more shot. I think they want to give him try to give him a full season.
Even with Jones on that offense, I don't love it. Next up, we got the Jets heading to Miami to take on the Dolphins. And I have the Jets in this one, and Callan has the Dolphins. Give my boy Zach Wilson. I'm giving him chance after chance. And he doesn't always show up for me, but some games he does show up. Ironically, he usually shows up when I don't pick the Jets. But no, I don't know why I keep wanting to pick the Jets, but I do. Every week I just get a feeling, and then every week I'm usually wrong because, that's just how it plays out. I could easily see the Dolphins winning this game. They got that stellar defense. Their offense seems to be getting it together. Tua's been getting a little better each week. They're coming off a bye week. It's in Miami. Every week I just get this weird feeling about the Jets. We'll see if I finally hit it this week.
I will say I think the Jets are better off than they have been in recent years. I think Salah's a solid coach. And as that whole team's going to grow together.
I'm really excited.
They're all young. They're all, I
am so excited.
I think one of their oldest players is C.J. Mosley, who's 28 or 29.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You got a lot of youth. The coaching staff is youthful. A lot of energy. I think, like I said, I think they're all going to grow together. That being said, fins up this week because Tua, we'll see if he can keep it rolling. But if he plays anything like he's played these last few games, man, he's starting to almost look dare I say, elite level.
That's
a small sample size to go and tag elite.
Dare I say, superstar bound, maybe, but elite is a stretch.
Maybe not elite, but
like I've been saying,
he has completed over 80% of his passes the last 4 games. That's pretty good. It's again very small sample size, but that's pretty damn good for even that stretch.
That's good. I'm not gonna argue that, but I hate looking at completion percentage without looking at film because that's just.
And that's true too. A lot of it could be dump offs.
Because Mac Jones has a really good completion percentage this year too, but you barely see him pushing the ball over 10-15.
I mean, he completed over 60% of his passes in that Monday night game last week.
Yeah, 2 for 3. What a baller.
66%.
66%. No, like I've been saying, I gain a little more respect for Tua each week, but it's just still a lot of questions surrounding him, in my opinion.
Yeah, there is, but like I said, if he can play like he has been playing and keep it up, definitely, they're going to get that W.
Yep. Next up, we got the Bengals heading to Denver to take on the Broncos, and yet another split. I have the Broncos in this one, and Callan has the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals are fighting for their playoff lives. I think they're going to hit desperation mode. Denver, even though still alive, kind of hit and miss team. You know, they seem to have really good games and then games where they don't show up. So I think that with Cincinnati really fighting for that playoff spot, I mean, they're into 7 right now, but they got to keep winning to keep it. Otherwise, they will lose it. They almost came back and won last week. So I just think that Cincinnati will, because of that, you know, having to fight for their playoff lives, be the more desperate team to want that win.
I'm washing my hands of the Bengals. I pick them every time. Every time I need them to get a win, or I need one of their players to play well, they totally crap the bed on me. And every time I don't want them to win, I guess that's just against the Vikings, they pull out an upset. So I'm just so done picking them. I've picked them pretty much week in and week out for so long, and they've been such on bad streak. So I'm taking the Broncos here. I've been with the Broncos since the beginning. That stellar defense. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm really excited to watch this matchup.
Definitely.
It's going to be a really good game to watch. I just like the Broncos in this one. I think they have the more consistent offense. I think overall Bengals probably have the better offense, but they're so hit or miss. They kind of ride or die with Jamar Chase, it almost seems like.
Yeah.
And I think the Broncos put up a consistent 20, 21 points in that area. And I think that Broncos defense will just be good enough to kind of put Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow in one of their down games and pick up a win.
They do seem to go with however Jamar Chase goes. In the last 5 games prior to last week, Chase had under like 50 yards, and they were like 1-4 or 2-3.
Yeah.
And then he almost go off?
He almost
like 150, almost single-handedly brought him back last week against the Niners. And even though they lost it, you know, he still had a much better game. They looked like a better team.
Up in that thin, mile-high air, I think the Broncos are going to pick up a win at home. Next up, we have a divisional matchup here with the Seahawks heading to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Like I said last episode, this crazy-ass NFC West, you can never predict it. So I took the Seahawks in this one, and Callan has the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to what we talked about last episode, this NFC West, it seems like every time the team should lose, they pick up a win in the divisional matchup. And we also talked about how Russell Wilson has kind of been returning to form. It's looking like that finger has been feeling better. He's been getting that sky ball back. I think he steps up to the plate for this divisional matchup. I can see DK having a little bit better of a game than he has been, and Tyler Lockett having another huge game. So I just like the Seahawks in this one, even on the road.
I think kind of almost the same thing with the Bengals for the Rams, is that the Rams are having to win just to stay in the playoffs, with the NFC being so top heavy. I mean, I don't think they would fall past the 7, but and they're still in contention to win that West, so they're fighting for not only a higher seed but to win the division. And so because of that, and the Seahawks kind of pretty much basically being out of it, I think the Rams will pull it out just because they need to almost for their own playoff sakes.
Yeah. as we go through this, I'm realizing this is gonna be a fun week of football. We got some good matchups across the board here. It's gonna be a great week to watch. Next up, we have the Packers heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Cal and I both have the Packers in this one, and to be honest, it's funny to say, but if it wasn't for you being a Packers fan, I probably would have quick kicked this one, because I mean, pretty much everything except for the fact that it's in Baltimore points to the Packers picking up a win. I mean, the Ravens have been on a down streak a little bit. They haven't been playing great even with Lamar on the field, and now Lamar's either going to be hurt or not play at all with that ankle injury. So everything here points to a Packers domination. So, I mean, this will probably be the week that you guys drop some crazy upset loss to them.
It'll be because of our special teams if we do.
Literally.
It'll be because our special teams, the snap on the field goal goes over the holder. You know,
game winning field goal snap goes over his head,
the holder,
and it's returned by the Ravens.
Oh yeah, it'll be something crazy like that.
Wacky shit like that.
You know, we'll allow a kickoff return with 1 second left after scoring the go-ahead touchdown. I don't know. We'll punt the ball backwards, some crazy shit. Our special teams we're as good as our offense and defense is, which our defense hasn't been good in the last few years, and is really a lot better this year. The special teams just makes up for all of the sourness.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope we can get it figured out. I never thought that it would be. We've never had a high focus on special teams, but we were always just like,
you never had to worry about it.
Right, like our thing was just don't make the mistakes.
Yeah.
We're making mistakes.
Left and right.
Yeah, and we don't really have the coaching, the special teams coaching, and special teams talent to mask those mistakes. That's the only thing that we base our special teams on. It's just play sound football. Don't be, we don't have a whole lot of returns. We don't have a whole lot of big special teams plays besides maybe the occasional forced fumble on kickoffs and punts, but
yeah. No, I could see a blowout.
And with Baltimore is one of the best special teams around, with Justin Tucker and that whole unit and Sam Cook as their punter. So,
I don't really see a close game here. I see a Ravens upset win or a Packers blowout. It's going to be one of the two ways.
Yep.
Next up, we got another divisional matchup in the NFC South this time, with the Saints heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. Callan has the Bucs in this one, and I have the Saints as my upset. And pretty much my sole reason for this is just the Saints seem to have the Bucs number in the regular season. Pretty much no matter who the Saints have, or whether it's Brady with the Bucs, they just seem to be able to find ways to beat them in the regular season. They did earlier this year, granted that was with Jameis Winston, but now they're going to have that Taysom Hill Kamara in the back, or connection in the backfield, which granted the Bucs have one of the best run defenses in the league. But I see this being a super close game either way, with it being a divisional matchup. But I don't know. The Saints have good luck against the Bucs in the regular season. I like the Saints in this one.
They do. I don't think they have the players to match up with them
That's
anymore.
That's for sure.
And as much as they have had success against Brady and the Buccaneers since he's been in Tampa, I think that Brady gets a W on this one, just because the Saints just don't have the firepower that they once did.
It's rough for them.
That last win that they played, that was the game that Jameis Winston got hurt. So Winston played most of that game and was his kind of last hurrah, unfortunately.
Do you know if was Cam Jordan the big-time defensive end that missed last week? Is he going to be back this week?
I'm not sure if he is or not. They haven't said yet. He's questionable still.
I think he will be, but yeah, they might. That's going to be a big swing right there.
They'll wait
Cam
until
Jordan's
announce that until as late as possible.
No, but again, should be a fun game to watch this week. Next up, we have another divisional matchup with the Vikings heading to Chicago to take on the Bears. And man, we have fun with our pick'em game in the NFC North, because I have the Vikings as my lock this week, and Callan has the Bears as his upset. So another huge swing game, pick'em wise. But we always split with the Bears, and we almost always lose in Chicago, but I just feel good. I feel like we're on a roll right now. our offense has been clicking like our offense should be clicking. Justin Jefferson has been going off. I think we might be getting Thielen back for this game. Dalvin Cook's going to be even more healthy than he was in Pittsburgh, so I can see him dropping another 150-yard game. And the Bears just seem to beat themselves more than anything. I mean, yeah, they have the great special teams, but luckily we don't seem to struggle quite as much as the Packers on special team.
No one really does.
But yeah, I mean, Justin Fields is going to be great. I really think Justin Fields is going to be one of the next elite quarterbacks in the NFL, but he just doesn't have the talent yet. More specifically, he doesn't have the offensive line yet and the coaching staff yet. So I think the Vikings got to win here.
Unfortunately, I think that the Bears are ruining Justin Fields. I don't know. When I watched him play in the second half against Green Bay, he looked like, I don't know, almost like he didn't know what to do. The fact that they were leading, like, he kind of got, I don't know.
Well, he came
pressured.
He came from that.
It seemed like quicksand kind of got him.
He came from that hyper Ohio State offense. He's not used to losing.
Right.
He's not used to getting blown out. He's learning quick how to do it, though.
Yeah.
The Bears, he's learning how to do it quickly.
They really try to. It's hard to figure out in the draft process is that most of these teams that get the high-profile college players don't have the best teams, the best records, and they're coming from teams that most of the time are undefeated or you've only lost 1 or 2 games in your whole college career. And then you got to come in and play, and suddenly you're losing 10, 12 games, 8 games, more games than you've ever lost before. Figure out how you handle that really speaks to how you're going to be as a quarterback. People forget, in Peyton Manning's first year, he went 3-13 and led the league in interceptions.
Awful year, yeah.
Terrible year. And then, look how his career turned out. But he was able to handle those losses and learn from them. I don't know. Fields looked, like I said, like it was like the quicksand. Like, they came out in the second half, and he was like, oh my God, the game's not over yet. Like, we haven't won because we're winning. And then he threw some bad picks and couldn't get the offense to even score any more points besides a field goal against Green Bay. Saying that, I hope he goes out there and plays like he did in the first half for the whole game against Minnesota. Because if he's able to put a whole game together, that looked pretty goddamn scary then.
The Vikings need to break that stereotype of not being able to win in Chicago, and this is one of our best chances.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on to our quick kicks now. We're going to start with the Raiders heading to Cleveland to take on the Browns. I have the Browns in this one. Kellen has the Raiders. I think that defense looked really good. Myles Garrett pretty much single-handedly carried them to that win last week. I think each week Baker gets a little closer to being replaced by Keenum, and that's not even a drag against Baker or against Keenum, but I think Keenum's just going to be better for this offense starting with that Baker injury. So I could see Keenum getting some reps in this game, and that defense just holding the Raiders to little to none. I mean, look at what the Chiefs defense did to them.
Yeah, Baltimore almost came back against the Browns. So, Baker's just been beat up all year. I just think it'll be the Raiders because they're coming off of kind of an embarrassing loss. Got a little bit of humble pie. And so I think that they'll come back and play a little more solid of a game against Cleveland.
Definitely. Another fun matchup there. Next up, we got the Panthers heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Cal and I both have the Bills in this one, and Callan has them as his lock.
Yeah, I think that, they played really well in the second half against Tampa. Almost won it. Probably should have won it, if not for, a couple of fluke things. And Carolina is just on a tailspin. They don't seem to know what to do at quarterback. They want to start Cam Newton, even though I think P.J. Walker is their better option. And I just think that Buffalo, while also still fighting for a playoff spot, they're now in the 7th spot, will have to keep winning to be in the playoffs. And Carolina is kind of almost getting in that category where they're a team where they're a get-right game.
Yep.
Because of how bad they've been playing.
Totally agree, exactly. It's hard to keep that good of a team down, even if they're on a bad streak.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got the Texans heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jags in our London game of the week. Mm-hmm. We're going to be sending this one across the water over to London. I got the Jags in this one, and Callan has the Texans. The Jags have just been getting bad hits left and right. I mean, it's been a rough couple of weeks for them. So it's more almost just a pity pick at this point that I'd love to see him pick up a win just for a little bit of morale there in Jacksonville.
You know, if this game was really in London and we weren't jokingly throwing it to London because it's two awful teams, I'd say the Jags are going to win because they have a really good record in London. However, this is a faux London game because this is the worst game of the week, so the Texans will win because the Jags can only win when they're across the pond.
About how it goes. Next up, we got the Cardinals heading to Detroit to take on the Lions. Callan has the Cardinals in this one, and I have the Lions. Now that I picked against them for one game and I got my anger out on them, I think I'm going to hop back on the Lions train.
Back on the MCDC train.
The Cardinals come off a tough loss there. They looked like they're almost rebuilding is how I kind of felt they were looking that game with getting D-Hop and Kyler back after missing them for so long. Let's be honest, the Cardinals probably pick up a win here, but let's have some fun. I pick the Lions. Why not? It's in Detroit.
Hey, they never know. You know, they're... MCDC could get that team rolling again, but yeah, with Arizona, kind of now they've had a game for Hopkins and Murray to get back, you know, into the football shape. I think that they'll do even better next week, especially against the Lions, who could barely even field a team last week because of illnesses. So we'll see how they do this week for that, but there's just not enough talent on Detroit to keep up with Arizona, I think. Cardinals should win this one easy.
Tragedy games don't count. No, just kidding.
Well, there's none yet. We'll see how the rest of this week plays out.
And then finally, for Week 15, we got the Falcons heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. I have the Falcons in this one. Callan has the Niners. Falcons just came off a pretty big divisional win against the Panthers. I think they got a little bit of momentum built up. And something I noticed in that game against the Panthers that they hadn't been doing recently is getting the ball to Kyle Pitts. So look for a healthy dose of Kyle Pitts in this game. And if they can get him open and get that offense rolling, I see them pulling off a little bit of an upset against this Niners team.
It's funny. I thought that same thing with Pitts and Kittle.
Yeah.
I thought this is going to be the big tight end game. I like my boy Kittle. And so I went off of that. I picked this game off of who's going to have the better tight end game. And Kittle is going to dominate this game just like he about dominated last week. I mean, he did, but not enough for the win.
Kittle is just...
Or he did enough for the win. And I think he's going to do it again this week.
Kittle is just a man among boys. It's not even fair. So that was our picks for NFL Week 15. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, don't forget...
to eat the W.